You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns, DeShaun Watson, and yet another quarterback that has been brought into the fold, a guy that's got starting experience. And after this signing, there's starting to be some questions that are being rumbled around out there about what's going on with DeShaun Watson exactly, whether it's his shoulder injury or if it could be something that would be related to, one of his cases. There are still cases out there against DeShaun Watson. And, in fact, I did a video just a couple of weeks ago. He's looking at having to possibly testify again in one of these cases in a deposition. And keep in mind, the NFL changed its disciplinary rules that if something else was to pop off that is not inside the parameters of the suspension that he had, DeShaun Watson could be gone for a very long time. So, in case you're wondering what am I talking about with the signing, the Browns signed Lamar Jackson's backup, which was Tyler Huntley, a guy that a couple years ago got a really bogus Pro Bowl nod and made it to the Pro Bowl because everybody in Jesus' name backed out of the Pro Bowl. But the point is, the Browns' quarterback room is getting interesting, and it makes you wonder what is going on here exactly. Tyler Huntley is changing addresses in the AFC North. Huntley spent the last 4 years backing up Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, but Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com reports he has agreed to sign with the Browns. The terms of the agreement are not known. The Browns also signed Jameis Winston. We did that video. And they have fifth rounder Dorian Thompson-Robinson on the roster behind Watson. So, that's raising some questions. All right, what's going on with DeShaun Watson? Now, guys, I've brought this up before, but he's not been very good since he's been back. He's not been good with Cleveland, period. All right, he's had one game and another quarter of a game where he has looked like a good quarterback. But in 12 games, you need to look. Right here is the yards per game. All right, 183, 185. These are his yards per game with Houston. 242 as a rookie, 260, 256, and 301 in that massive year he had with Houston before he left. He set out a season. His yards per attempt, 6.5, 6.5. Now, guys, when you start wanting to look at quarterbacks that are possibly on the decline or that there is an issue with their skill set, whatever you want to call it, you look at their yards throwing per game and the yards per attempt. That's not good. That's way down at the bottom of the league with yards per attempt, 6.5 and 6.5. I mean, I'm going to keep it real. You're in Mac Jones territory. That's where that stands. Okay? Again, a couple of weeks ago, you see that headline. Now, the Cleveland Browns added Tyler Huntley to their quarterback room on Sunday, raising questions about DeShaun Watson's return timeline. Watson had season-ending surgery in November to repair a fractured glenoid bone in his right throwing shoulder. All indications have been Watson is ahead of schedule in his rehab. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski indicated his $230 million quarterback would be ready to roll in the spring. Keep in mind, in the back of your mind, he's got a $64 million dead cap hit, like every year for the foreseeable future. There's not an out in this contract for like 3 more seasons, I think. Quote, he's champing at the bit, but he's doing everything he's supposed to do when it comes to what the doctors are telling him as he rehabs through this. but he'll be ready to roll, Stefanski said in January. The addition of Huntley has created questions about that timeline. The Browns now have 4 quarterbacks on the roster: Watson, Huntley, Jameis Winston, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I would not think they'd be giving up on this kid already. And if they are, another team will end up taking him. I said I thought Dorian ends up taking DeShaun's job. But now you've got 2 guys blatantly capable of starting on the roster. Quote, adding a second backup quarterback in a week, the third total, makes you wonder about the injury timeline on the starter. Zach Jackson of The Athletic wrote on X, no games until September, but adding Tyler Huntley and Jameis Winston is just strange. Maybe it's good business after last year, but it's strange. It's very strange. Very strange. Browns also used 4 quarterbacks last offseason: Watson, Thompson-Robinson, Kellen Mond, and Joshua Dobbs. Well, are you going to cut Thompson-Robinson? Because I think that might be premature. Browns not taking any risk with DeShaun Watson. As noted, Watson is the starter when healthy. There's no question about that. Huntley, Winston, Thompson-Robinson will battle it out for a backup role. The lurking question is when Watson will indeed be ready to roll. Mary Kay Cabot of theathletic.com believes the Browns need an extra arm for offseason workouts when Watson will likely be limited. The Browns will err on the side of caution and give Watson all the time he needs to regain his form. She said after the Huntley signing, he's their $230 million investment with the first two of 5 seasons mostly washed. And they won't take any chances with his pivotal 3rd season. It should be noted, by the way, that Steve Smith just called them out, the Cleveland media, the other day about the fact that shouldn't the story in Cleveland be the fact that the backup quarterback, not DeShaun Watson, but the backup quarterback was the one that took you to the playoffs, and let's be real, played a hell of a lot better than DeShaun Watson did last year. That a 39-year-old gray-beard Joe Flacco off the couch came in and averaged over 300 yards passing in that offense, and showed what Kevin Stefanski's offense could look like if you got a passer that can throw the ball. That was one of my points in so many Joe Flacco and DeShaun Watson videos I did, was the fact that the parts you need to be alarmed about, what I showed you, is 180 yards per game for DeShaun and 310 for Joe Flacco. That's a problem. That's down the entire length of the field plus some in offensive yardage production. Well, you think that doesn't translate to extra field goals and extra points and extra touchdowns? Of course it does. Of course it does. So, this is very odd. It's very odd that you now have 2 clear-cut, good backup, and they are. Jameis is a good backup quarterback, so's Tyler Huntley. All right? And I'm talking about number 2s, and a lot of people would argue Jameis could be a number 1. Hell, I've heard people argue that Tyler Huntley deserves a shot to start somewhere. So one's got to wonder what is going on in Cleveland right now. They're obviously worried about something. I don't think there's any other way to look at it. Wow. And the whole point of all this, none of this, outside of the behavior stuff of DeShaun, this wouldn't seem like that big a deal if your quarterback didn't have a $65 million dead cap hit. for the foreseeable seasons. It's the contract. It's the contract. If you can set aside even the behavior, it's always been the contract. Is the contract going to wreck the franchise ultimately? Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.